Person of the week here this week is Bria Smith, a high school student working to end gun violence. The city of Milwaukee honored the Franklin High School senior with the Vel R. Phillips Trailblazer Award. Smith is president of the Milwaukee City Youth Council, and last year she called for a ceasefire in Milwaukee over Labor Day weekend. TV host Steve Harvey even noticed her work.
I guess it's an issue that's so important for me because I was directly affected by it. Like, we live in a community where it's one of the most segregated communities in America, and we have like this distinction of gun violence, and it happens on an everyday basis. So if we're not having a conversation that's inclusive and talking about it on a national leverage, then we're not going to have a solution to a crisis that's been affecting us for years.
Smith was also highlighted in our Project Community segment here this week. She graduates in the spring, and a big congratulations to her on that award. Well, it is an explosion of springtime allergies, and if you're not feeling it yet, you might be soon. Experts say the season of sneezing is hitting even earlier this year. Plus, the thriller at Miller Park today, how the MVP turned into a hero. Stephanie Sutton and Stephen Watson have team coverage up next in sports.
Big 12 Sports, presented by Menards.
Here comes Kane, rounding third, relay, Brewers win! Brewers win! The MVP does it again!
Yes, he does. We are only 4 games into the season, and Christian Yelich is already making a case to repeat as National League MVP. And not only does the fan favorite make more history at Miller Park today, he also hits the walk-off winner in a thrilling come-from-behind victory against the Cardinals. More on Yelich in a moment, but first, Corbin Burnes makes his first Major League start. His first 9 outs came via strikeout, the first time a Brewers pitcher has done that since 1984. Back to Yelly, bottom of the first. He homers in his 4th straight game to start the season. Only 5 other players in Major League history have done that before. His teammates give him the silent treatment in the dugout afterwards, so he decides to give himself a little air hug. Burns strikes out 12 batters today, but had trouble with the long ball. Gives up 3 home runs, including back-to-back jacks in the 5th inning. First to Matt Carpenter to left center field, and then another one to Brewer killer Paul Goldschmidt. Almost to the same spot, and Milwaukee is trailing 4-1. Bottom 7, Brewers play catch-up. After a Ryan Braun RBI, Travis Shaw pops one to shallow left field, and Matt Carpenter can't make the catch. Yelich scores, and it's a 1-run game. And as you just saw, bottom of the 9th, with runners on the corners, the MVP rips one to left field and scores the go-ahead and game-winning runs. First, Ben Gamlo crosses the plate, and watch Lorenzo Cain round third and slide into home. No silent treatment this time for Yelich as he hits the walk-off winner, and the comeback crew celebrates. They win the series against the Cardinals with a thrilling 5-4 victory. 12 Sports' Stephen Watson reports from Miller Park.
The MVP plays hero and makes some history in the process. Christian Yelich hits a walk-off in his final at-bat, and in his first at-bat.
And the pitch, swinging at a fly ball to right and deep. Get up! Get up! Get out of here! Go!
He becomes just the 6th player in MLB history to homer in each of the first 4 games of the season.
I mean, yeah, it was definitely a cool series. It was a big series for us. They're a great team. They play us really well. Those games are tight, and you got to execute to win them. And our division's such a good division, and I got a feeling it's coming down to the last game or 2 like it did last year, and we like to win as many as you can.
And after the homer, his teammates having some fun by giving the MVP the silent treatment in the dugout.
Yeah, we like to have a lot of fun on this team, and I guess that was their way of giving me a hard time.
Well, they're just trying to come up with something new. Yeah, I mean, it's. I hope they're challenged by that for their entire season.
No player in MLB history has ever opened this season with 5 home runs in the first 5 games, and Yelich has an opportunity now to do it against the Cincinnati Reds, a team that he hit for the cycle against twice last season. Inside Miller Park, Stephen Watson, WISN 12 Sports.
Thank you, Stephen. The Brewers already in postseason form. Now, coming up in our second half hour, the Bucks and Hawks go to overtime today, and it comes down to a buzzer beater. Unfortunately, the other guys get the victory.
I love Craig Counsell's reaction to the silent treatment. I mean, that was awesome. By the way, Yelich on pace to hit just 162 home runs this year. That's it.
No big deal.
That works. Thank you, Steph. Still to come here tonight, a possible showdown on the southern border. If it happens, it could have devastating consequences on the border area's economy. And that allergy explosion, experts explain why they're back weeks ahead of schedule.
leading the way with important local coverage. You're watching WISN 12 News at 10.
Right now, White House staffers are backing the president's threat to close the southern border. ABC's Tara Palmieri has reaction and a potential closure's economic impact.
The president's acting chief of staff defending President Trump's threat to close the southern border this week unless Mexico stops the flow of migrants from crossing the border into the U.S.
The president will do everything he can. If closing the ports of entry mean that, that's exactly what he intends to do.
Mick Mulvaney also doubling down on the president cutting off humanitarian aid to Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala. 3 countries that are the primary source for migrant caravans heading to the U.S. border.
We do give these countries hundreds of millions of dollars in aid, and we need them to do more.
But at least one Democratic lawmaker says he'll fight President Trump on these cuts.
You can stop it by overriding what he is doing and making sure that we fund these programs.
The U.S. originally sent that aid to help improve economic and security conditions in those countries so people would not leave for the U.S. in the first place. But the number of migrants is rising. According to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, an estimated 95,000 migrants illegally arrived in the U.S. this month. Meanwhile, political and business leaders along the border have concerns about moves to seal the Mexican border.
Free trade is incredibly important to our region here in San Diego. We have over 100,000 jobs that are dependent upon trade with Mexico.
A border shutdown would cause severe economic consequences. An average of $1.7 billion worth of goods cross back and forth between Mexico and the U.S. every day. Tara Palmieri, ABC News, West Palm Beach, Florida.
A Marine helicopter crash in Arizona Saturday killed 2 pilots. A military spokesperson says the crash happened on an air station training ground near Yuma. No word yet on the names of the 2 Marines killed. A former Nevada politician says former Vice President Joe Biden inappropriately touched her and kissed the back of her head during a campaign rally in 2014. Tonight, Biden is responding.
What do? You know, who do you tell? It was awkward and disturbing and weird, but at the same time, it doesn't rise to the level of what most people would consider a very serious transgression.
In a statement, Joe Biden says he does not recall the alleged interaction, adding, quote, "In my many years on the campaign trail and in public life, I have offered countless handshakes, hugs, expressions of affection, support, and comfort, and not once, never did I believe I acted inappropriately." Now to the stalemate over the contract for Milwaukee County bus drivers. The union held an emergency meeting last night. They've been working without a contract for nearly a year. Healthcare a major sticking point. Transit officials say unless drivers pay more for their health insurance, bus routes will be cut, saying, quote, MCTS and ATU Local 998 have agreed to future negotiation dates and are eager to receive a formal response to our current offer to have a third-party arbitrator decide employee wages and health care benefits based on what the arbitrator believes is fair and reasonable, end quote. Today, Union President James Macon responded.
Don't blame it on us. I'm tired of them lying on us. So we're going to start pushing back. Every lie that you tell, I'm going to come back with facts. I have the paperwork to prove it. Anybody want to see it? I have the paperwork to prove it.
Negotiations are set to continue with the mediator in April. To Weather Watch 12 now, meteorologist Lindsay Slater here in the Weather Center. Lindsay, we are talking well above average temperatures next week.
We're getting there. We're slowly getting there. I even have 60s in the forecast, and the average high this time of the year is about 48 degrees. So yeah, things are looking up for us, but we have to get through a couple of stumbles here as we head through the work week. Right now, we're sitting close to 30 degrees in Milwaukee, 27 in Waukesha, and 26 in Sheboygan. The wind chill, not terrible because the wind has died down slightly. It is going to pick up again tomorrow because we have a weather system on the way. We get the warm front overnight, and then we get the cold front. I zoomed that out really far. We have the cold front coming later in the day, but high pressure will return, I do promise. So as you're heading out the door tomorrow, just know that keep your umbrella with you. You'll need it potentially later in the day, but then again, the wind is going to be picking up. Some areas may have wind between 20 and 30 miles an hour, so if tomorrow's trash day for you, I want to hunker that one down.
Hold on tight. All right, thank you, Lindsay. Well, if you're feeling the scratchy eyes and the sniffles, it could be your allergies. 12 News' Caroline Reinwald reports the season of suffering starting early this year.
Well, all that warm and, as you can see, rainy weather we've been having this spring has created an uptick in tree pollen. It's also created an uptick in all of the mold particles flying through the air.
Blah.
If you're reaching for a Kleenex every few minutes, it could be more than just the average cold.
Little coughing, little sniffles, kind of doesn't sleep as well.
My sister-in-law kind of suffers with the pollens. It's usually when the weather changes back and forth, going hot to cold or warm to cold.
Seasonal allergies are back weeks ahead of schedule. Doctors say the warm and often wet weather we've had recently is producing tree pollen and mold quicker than usual, sending allergy sufferers straight to their doctor's office.
They'll complain they're short of breath, that they're wheezing, that they're having a productive cough. A lot of people now are complaining of a lot of postnasal drip.
Dr. John Bassick says if you're one of the more than 50 million Americans who suffer from chronic allergies every year, try to avoid going outside, walking your pets, or sleeping with your windows open in the early morning. Most pollen releases happen between sunup to 9 a.m. You can also turn on your AC once it gets warmer and take over-the-counter allergy medicine. But mostly, we'll have to suffer through it.
Most people have to, take their medicine, do the avoidance, and see what happens.
So if you have those chronic, long-term symptoms that last more than 1 or 2 weeks, you probably have allergies and not just a common cold. And if that over-the-counter medicine isn't working for you, you can go see an allergist. They can perform a skin test to see what you're specifically allergic to, and they can also give you a shot if you're really suffering. Reporting in River West, Caroline Reinwald, WISN 12 News.
Well, we are still more than a year out from the DNC coming to Milwaukee, but already there are plans in place for every detail, including using some venues that you may not have thought of. And Bucks backup players take the court. Could they pull out the win against the Hawks? Stephanie Sutton has those highlights just ahead. Spring election here is on Tuesday, and the big statewide race is for an open spot on the state Supreme Court. There are also other local races on the ballot for offices like city leadership and for school boards. To find out what is on your ballot and where you can vote, visit our website, WISN.com. Well, we're getting a look at Milwaukee's original bid for the 2020 Democratic Convention. 12 News' Kent Wainscott has the 92-page document spelling out every detail from transportation, security to the venues.
eyes of the world are upon us.
The announcement may have come as a surprise to some.
We'll be welcoming the 2020 Democratic National Convention here to Milwaukee.
But Milwaukee has had its plan well documented since last summer. Its initial bid to host the 2020 DNC convention is elaborate and includes every detail about Fiserv Forum, from luxury suites to the number of restrooms. It also utilizes every venue inside a presumed security perimeter, including the Wisconsin Center, which would likely serve as the convention headquarters.
One thing we know won't be part of the convention is the Bradley Center. It'll be gone, but we don't know what will be in its place. The bid leaves open a range of possibilities for this site.
One option is a media center set up in temporary structures here, or that could end up in this parking garage connected to Fiserv Forum. Among the 15,000 plus hotel rooms, the Milwaukee Hyatt and Hilton would serve as the headquarters hotels. Away from the convention site, the city's bid boasts the use of lakefront locations like the Summerfest grounds, Discovery World, and the Milwaukee Art Museum. It also includes venues farther from downtown, like the Pabst Mansion and Miller Park. It spells out transportation and parking plans for thousands of visitors, daily bus passes for 500 staff and volunteers, and it even touted the HOP streetcar months before it began service. And the bid also takes into account visitors who won't be here to support the Democrats, identifying Red Arrow Park across the street from City Hall as the primary site for demonstrations and protests.
Kent Wainscott reporting. Now, this was just one step of the proposal. There are now actual contracts in place, but this bid paints the best picture yet of the enormity of this convention and how city leaders envisioned Milwaukee as the host city. Coming up here in sports, the comeback crew and how the MVP played hero at Miller Park today. Plus, the Bucks go to overtime on the road against the Hawks, and it came down to a buzzer beater. Stephanie Sutton returns here with sports. But first, as we head to break tonight, a look at your winning lottery numbers.